from Quebec. Bonjour, Pascal. Oh, this is so cool. Jeannie in Dieppe, New Brunswick. Am I saying that right? Sue, what's up, Sue, in Gold Coast, Australia? Okay, so we've got Australia, we've got Canada, we've got Mexico, we've got Japan, right? We've got people from all over the world tuning into this call. A lot from the United States, of course, which is where I am. And this is just awesome. Okay, let's see here. Delonda says Lindsay is smiling big, that's for sure. Okay, we've got the live stream started. We're about 60 seconds from getting started. 60 seconds from getting started. Welcome everybody to this call. What's up, Debbie in Toronto, Canada? Nice to have you. Let me just make sure we've got our co-hosts all ready to go, and we will get started. All right. Waiting for one more guest, and let's see if we have our translation. I'm not sure if we're going to have translation tonight. I have turned on the captions. So if you're listening in another language tonight, you can turn on your captions. You can show the captions, and you can change your listening language to your native language. So if you'd like to listen in German or French, you can change your listening language on the Zoom tools to French, and it will translate in real time, or Japanese, or German, or Spanish, or whatever. So we've got live translation if you'd like to watch captions in another language. We're going to get started in about 10 seconds. Thank you all for being here, being on time, and it is 7 o'clock my time. We're going to go ahead and start this call. Welcome everybody to this call. We do these calls every week. We do these calls weekly on Tuesday nights here in the United States. We have people tuning in from Australia, Canada, Japan, Mexico, and parts of Europe. Some people that are up very, very late in South Africa that are tuning into this call. So thank you all for being here. We started doing these calls a few years ago with just a handful of people, and it has really caught on. In fact, on tonight's call, we already have 200 plus people here in the live Zoom. My guess is as we get going, that will grow to 300 or maybe even 400, and then we'll have 10 to 20,000 watching on the different restreams. So this is being restreamed on YouTube, Facebook. Some people may be watching it on TikTok or Instagram live streams. So if you're watching wherever you are in the world, we are glad that you're here. Now, before I get started, I want to explain exactly why we do these calls. We are trying to save your life. That may sound a little audacious, but I mean it. We are trying to save your life. The health, the metabolic health of your average citizen of the world is in trouble. And there is something we can do about it. On this call, we have lots of medical professionals. We also have lots of non-medical professionals. And we are all here with one goal. We want to save lives. There is a very simple protocol that we have been following and talking about every single week for the last 3+ years. And this protocol is so simple. It is, in fact, the simplest thing that I've ever done. We're going to explain what it is tonight. You're going to learn all about it and how you can implement it in your life. And this literally has the power to change your life. And so that is why we do these calls. Now, our protocol, I don't want to gatekeep or leave you in the dark for too long, so we're going to explain that in its entirety. But here's a little shortcut, a little sneak preview, I should say. We believe that what we don't believe, we know empirically that about 2/3 of American adults are overweight. 1/3 are either pre-diabetic or type 2 diabetic. Heart disease is the #1 killer in the world. Most of the world today has dysbiosis or a damaged gut. This manifests as mental health problems, as skin problems, as hormone problems, as autoimmune problems, as a number of health problems. And a damaged gut and something called insulin resistance are really running the show nowadays. It seems like everybody is getting fatter and sicker, and this is out of control. Well, we have taken the power back. We have taken the power back by addressing the problem at its root. And so I want to explain this as we get ready to introduce our guests and dig into the call. I'm just going to share my screen briefly. This would be helpful maybe to anybody who is here for the first time. So if you're new, if this is the first time you've been on one of these live calls here in the live Zoom, would you do me a favor and just put new in the chat? Write new in the comments if this is your first time ever being on one of our calls. Okay, we've got some new people. We got maybe a lot of new people. In fact, I found that usually the new people are the ones that don't know exactly how to comment. So if there's this many people commenting, we got probably over 100 new people on this call. We also have several people that are coming back and have been on these calls before. So some of what I'm going to say right now for some of you may be a bit of a review, but it's important to set the table for everybody coming to this call. Okay. Right now, the number one problem in the world when it comes to healthcare is a problem known as insulin resistance. Oh, and by the way, this is me. This is my family. I should have introduced myself. My name is Trent. I'm married to Denise. Some of you may follow Denise on Instagram. She's kind of a social celebrity now. Denise and I talk all about insulin resistance and metabolic health on our social channels. And this is a picture of our little family and our three little girls. So that's us. Okay, so this problem of insulin resistance is everywhere. And unfortunately, not many people know what it is, and even fewer know what to do about it. But insulin resistance is the problem that you have that you don't know about yet. This is like the leaky pipe in your basement that you're not aware of, but that is slowly destroying the value of your home. We got to fix that pipe so that we can save your home. We've got to fix this problem so that we can save your life. Right? Now, maybe you're not totally familiar with what insulin resistance is. That's okay. We'll talk about that as the call goes. But perhaps you are aware of the massive obesity epidemic that we have. Weight control is a huge problem for many of us. In fact, it's something that I struggled with for much of my life, right? Fatty liver, 1 out of 5 at least has fatty liver, and it may be closer to 4 out of 5. Can you believe that? I mean, it's one of the most underdiagnosed problems that are in existence, right? Diabetes and pre-diabetes, well, that is like insulin resistance squared. That is like double insulin resistance. If you have pre-diabetes, type 2 diabetes, if you have blood sugar control problems, you have insulin resistance. Migraine headaches often come from insulin resistance. Mental health problems like Alzheimer's, dementia, insulin resistance, insulin resistance, insulin resistance. Heart disease is now the number one killer in the world. PCOS, the number one cause of infertility in the world. And it all comes back to this big bad wolf in the middle. And during this call, we're going to explain exactly what to do to address this problem and to do it naturally with a very, very simple protocol. Now, if insulin resistance is the number one bad guy that is attacking human metabolic health right now, the number two bad guy would be something called dysbiosis. Okay, so this would be bad guy number two. Dysbiosis, or a damaged gut, is a big, big problem. The gut is the center. It is like the grand central station of human health. And when we have a damaged gut, it often affects our metabolism. It affects us and leads to things like obesity and diabetes. It can lead to respiratory problems, even things like asthma, right? Heart disease, skin problems like psoriasis, skin cancer, all the autoimmune conditions often start with a damaged gut. 1,000+ years ago, it was said that all disease begins in the gut, and it seems like that is absolutely true, right? Hippocrates said all disease begins in the gut, and when you have a damaged gut microbiome, everything seems to get worse, and it happens very, very quickly. And so on tonight's call, we're really going to be talking about insulin resistance and dysbiosis. And I have a medical professional here that's going to be joining us to talk all about it. Now, we're going to get into the protocol. We're going to get into step by step if you have any of these problems or suspect you may have these problems, what you can do about it. And we're not going to give you fluff. We're going to give you actionable items, things that you can apply immediately that can change your life forever. Okay, so that is all coming soon. But by way of tradition, we start these calls with a special guest. And tonight we have two guests. We'll do one here at the beginning and then maybe one as we go on throughout the call. Our first guest is somebody that was a stranger to me. This is Jennifer Ellis. And Jennifer is somebody that has been coming to these calls and has been following this protocol for a while now. And Jennifer, I was looking at your before pictures, and then I saw you get on this call. When I saw you come on, I was just like, holy cow. What a transformation. So, Jennifer, we would love to hear what this protocol has been like for you and what has happened to you. Maybe to begin, tell us a little bit about Jennifer Ellis. Who's Jennifer?
Okay, well, hello, everybody. I'm sorry, right now my cat has decided she's joining our call. I am 51 years old. I am from Michigan, and I work for a commercial real estate investment company. Before I started the protocol, I was dealing with cholesterol, insomnia. Um, those two things were huge for me, along with my anxiety and depression. For 16 years, I was on all of those medications. I also had the tinnitus, the arthritis, the menopause symptoms, the hot flashes, the mood swings. Anybody who's going through menopause understands you're happy one second and mad the next. I did that for so long. Throughout my journey, as you will see my before picture, I was 161 pounds when I started. When I started this, it was not about weight loss for me. It was about getting off my statin medication. And that was strictly what my goal was. And lo and behold, it ended up that my body had other plans. And I am currently at age 51 at a spot where I have more energy than I did in my 20s, and I have my high school body.
Jennifer, I want to interrupt because I know
Yes,
I want to hear about these updates, but you
yes,
mentioned something that a lot of people are not familiar with,
yes.
tinnitus. Can you tell everybody about some of the brutal symptoms of the condition that is known as tinnitus?
That for me, I had the severe crackling in my ears. I also had the severe ringing. It's enough to drive you insane. It was something that I struggled with a lot. I also had the arthritis and the joint pain. So for me, even to get out of bed, and if I got up too quick, it would trigger my tinnitus.
Okay. So for anybody that's listening, if you're not familiar with itises, okay, any kind of an itis is inflammation. So tendinitis would be inflammation of the tendon, right? Colitis would be inflammation of the colon. Dermatitis would be inflammation of the skin, right? And tinnitus is something that nobody that's had it would wish on their worst enemy, okay?
No.
It is nonstop crackling and ringing in your ears. Can you imagine if it would never ever go away and you had a constant ringing in your ears? Now, there's other symptoms involved with it, but it is absolutely brutal. Okay, so you start the protocol. You're 51, you're going through menopause, you're
Yes.
everything you like to be, and I'll show a picture here in a moment. What and you're on a statin and on antidepressants, is it or anti-anxiety medications?
I was on a statin, I was on anti-anxiety and depression medication, and I was on insomnia meds. Ever since I was little, the hardest time turning the brain off, being able to relax and go to sleep. I also dealt with severe inflammation of the gums and teeth sensitivity. And about 6 months, I'll tell you what happened then. But you can imagine anything hot, cold, water had to be a certain temperature. It was an awful ordeal.
Okay, so you're in a terrible, terrible place,
Yes.
physically, mentally, with the anxiety and the depression.
Hmm.
You're in a horrible place hormonally because you're going through menopause, which is a bad day, of course, for women in that stage of life, right?
Yeah.
So you go on this protocol, and Jennifer, what has happened since starting this protocol?
Okay, Trent, like mind blown. Okay, was the first thing. My girlfriend had turned me on to the protocol, and I had more energy in the first 3 days than I'd had in a really long time. Um, about 3 months in, I took myself to go donate blood to see where my cholesterol levels were. And I showed my numbers to my medical professional, and she took me off of my cholesterol meds. For me, it took about 6 months in order to wean off of my anxiety, depression medication. And the thing that was most profound to me was that my mother had told me that that was the happiest she had seen me in a really long time. And, to have your mom say how happy you are, your dad to say, I'm not sure you should drink that tea. You have way too much energy. Um, you know, uh, my love handles are gone. My menopausal belly is gone. I can sleep. That is huge for me. I can sleep. I can keep up with my 3-year-old grandson, which he's a spitfire. So he's everywhere all the time. Um, I feel good in my skin, and when you see my before picture, that is a shell of a woman smiling for a picture who did not feel good in her skin, would not take herself to the beach, would not take would never think of putting on a bathing suit. And I can tell you that within the last, I don't know, I think it was the last couple months, I actually took myself to the beach. I took myself in a bikini and I felt like $1 million. So
Oh my
that's
God.
huge for me.
Well, that, hey, we're all just cheering for you right now because this is awesome. And thank you, Jennifer, for coming on here in front of a bunch of perfect 400 plus perfect strangers and
Oh.
telling your story. This is the before picture of
Mhm.
Jennifer, and of course you can see her now, right? Jennifer, I think the inflammation is gone. Obviously, you mentioned the
Yeah.
love handles being gone. You mentioned the cholesterol medication is gone, the antidepressant and anxiety medication gone, the insomnia gone, which I
Yeah.
imagine the sleeping medication is also gone. This is what this protocol is all about. And we are truly just so, so happy for you. Anything you might say to somebody who's watching this, maybe somebody that's here for the first time, that is on the fence about whether or not to try this protocol, whether or not it really does work? What would you say to them?
Well, you can tell by my photo that it works. I can tell you in my heart that it works. Um, Honestly, I was skeptical. I was nervous. Um, but I had a 90-day money back guarantee, and I found a community that will love me no matter what and will always support me in my health. And that's really what I needed.
I love it. Well, we are so grateful for you. Thank you. If anybody wanted to, follow your journey or anything, if you have a social media handle, I'm sure people would love to see it. And your story is extremely inspiring, and a lot of people could use that to inspire others. So thank you so much, Jennifer. If you want to put that in the comments, that would be cool. But you are awesome, and we really appreciate you coming on and telling your story today. Thank you.
Thanks, Trent. Thanks for having me.
Of course, yep. We'll have you anytime. That was just awesome. I mean, guys, that could have been like a paid commercial for this protocol. Am I right? How many people do you know that are struggling with things like menopause? How many people do you know that are struggling with things like anxiety, depression, insomnia? How many people? Well, I'll just tell you because I know, we know empirically there are 47 million American adults on statin medications. 47 million. All of them are living with the trade-offs of being on statin medication, right? They're living with the liver damage. They're living with the other, effects of statin drugs. And for her to come off a statin after being on it for 16 years is pretty awesome, if you ask me. Okay, so that is what this is all about. Now we want to dig into what the protocol is. We're going to get to that in a moment. Why are we getting sick? Why are we getting insulin resistance? Why are we getting dysbiosis? And how do we fix it at the root so that we can solve the problem once and for all? I mean, I don't know about you, but whenever there's a problem, I want to solve the actual problem. I don't want to play whack-a-mole and treat symptoms. I want to solve the real problem, right? If you have a leaky pipe in your basement, you can either continue to change out the carpet and the flooring and paint the walls and remove the dry rot and the wood rot and all those things. You could do all that over and over indefinitely forever, or you can go right to the leak and fix the leaky pipe and solve the problem once and for all, right? And that is what we're interested in doing. That is the goal of our protocol. And so we're going to talk a lot about how we address this and how we attack it with our protocol, okay? And really, this is so simple. It is so simple. And so we're going to get to that. We have a medical professional we're going to get to in just a moment. In fact, I think it is time to probably bring her on, and we'll save the next success story for after Amanda Yu. So Amanda Yu is, I think, well, you guys maybe don't know Amanda Yu yet, but Amanda Yu is a doctor of pharmacy. She's a pharmacist. And Amanda, how long have you been practicing pharmacy?
30,
Practicing as a pharmacist?
32 years, Trent. 32 years.
32 years as a pharmacist. Amanda is somebody that was a total stranger to me, that through this mission, through attending these calls, we have become friends. In fact, I am a huge, huge fan of Amanda Yu. Amanda has now indirectly or directly helped hundreds and hundreds of people fix and improve their health with this protocol. And today, Amanda is going to be talking to us all about insulin resistance and gut dysbiosis and talk about it from a pharmacist perspective. So Amanda, I'll turn the controls over to you here for the next little stretch.
Thank you, Trent. Hopefully my slide works. All right, share. Let's see. Oh.
We got it. It's loading. We got it. We can see.
Let me see. Hold on. Oh,
You just go to slideshow and present.
okay. Slideshow.
Or play from start. There you go. Let's switch views. Let's go back. Let's go end show at the top left. Okay, almost.
Well,
And
all
just
right.
do play from start. Yep, we had it.
From here?
You're
No,
gonna have to reshare. We lost your share, so push share one more time.
I'm not very technical. I'm sorry.
This is awesome. You're doing great. So let's do the share screen one more time
Mm-hmm.
on Zoom. Okay, good. And then let's go to
Share.
slideshow and play from start.
Mm. And share.
Top left. Nope, top left, play from start.
Uh, Play from start. Got it. There?
Perfect. We got it.
Okay. Let's see.
Continue to share.
Share. Continue to share. All right.
Perfect.
Is that it?
We got it. It's perfect. Yep.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Trent. So I hope tonight I can help answer the important question, why we're becoming sicker than ever, despite of all the medical advancements and ever-growing number of medications, right? And this evening we'll explore the two main suspects, as Trent said, insulin resistance and gut dysbiosis. All right, I'm not able to move my slide.
Okay, so down in the bottom left corner, there's a little cursor, and you can go to the next.
There you go. Is that it? Can you see my next slide?
Perfect. Yep.
Okay, perfect. So this is a new slide. So hopefully you'll be able to um, understand this a little bit better than my old slide. So as you can see on the left, normal, in a normal, healthy person, when we eat food, all food turns into sugar. Of course, when the body detects sugars, it will signal the pancreas to put out insulin. And insulin's job is to open up the cell's doors and put glucose inside and bring down glucose. So this is in a normal, healthy person. As you can see in the next one, early insulin resistance, the cells now becomes a little less responsive because why? We've been eating too much, too often, and now the cells are becoming a little resistant to insulin. So it's almost like the key. Imagine insulin is the key to try to unlock the cell's door. Now it's become a little rusty. And to compensate, pancreas keep putting out more insulin. Now we have about 10 years down the line, we have some compensation, as you can see the timeline here. So this is why so many people can still have normal A1C, still have normal blood sugar, glucose, and being insulin resistant. And at the far right here, you can see full out insulin resistance. Now we have so much insulin, so much glucose outside the cells because now cells are not responding to insulin. Insulin cannot do its job anymore. Now we have high glucose, high insulin, hyperinsulinemia. Now you get a diagnosis of prediabetes or type 2 diabetes. So some of you might ask, hey, my A1C might be 5.2, but I'm struggling to lose weight. I have chronic fatigue. Hopefully this can explain that question. And here are some of the diagnoses and symptoms. This is a slide borrowed from Insulin IQ. Insulin is at the root. As you can see, it has its hand on many of these diagnoses and symptoms. Type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, migraine, osteoarthritis, hormonal imbalances, fatty livers, Alzheimer's, aka type 3 diabetes, we treat each one of these symptoms, each one of these diagnoses with medications. Like Trent said before, it's like we're playing whack-a-mole here. We're treating one symptom and then another one pop up, and we're treating that symptom, another one pops up, and then the medications have side effects. So now, for example, if you're on metformin, the side effect of metformin, B12 depletion. Now you're on gabapentin. I see this over and over when I'm dispensing medication. I look at the patient's profile. There are common medication that I dispense on a regular basis is, metformin, statin, blood pressure medication, acid reflux medication, pain medication, antidepressant medications. And here are some of the risk factors that drives us to to be insulin resistant. High processed food, sugary food, sedentary lifestyle, chronic stress, poor sleep, hormonal imbalances, nutrient deficiency. Today, even if you're eating organic food, it's not the same as 50 years ago, as food 50 years ago. And of course, medications. Here, as a pharmacist, I have to list some of the medication that I dispense on a regular basis that can contribute to insulin resistance. Corticosteroids like prednisone, hydrocortisone, dexamethasone, these are very common steroid medication that are being prescribed to decrease inflammation, but it can drive up your glucose and put you at risk for insulin resistant. Beta blockers, thiazide diuretics, these are blood pressure medications. And this can also inhibit insulin sensitivity. And of course, statins can directly increase HbA1c. And certain antidepressant medication also increases it's considered as obesogens. So it can increase your appetites and increase your sugar, your glucose. So what can you do about how to reverse insulin resistance? Remove carbohydrates, remove processed food, sugary food, incorporate some time-based eating, no snacking between your meals. Give yourself about 3 to 4 hours between meals. Prioritize proteins, reduce carbohydrates, fiber. Trent will talk about the protocol, the fibers we use. And let me see. And then our second, so that's insulin resistant. Our second suspect for tonight is gut dysbiosis. I'll spend a little bit more time on this one here. So you can see the picture on the left is symbiosis. In a normal situation, we have about 30 to 100 trillions of microbes living in our gut. This is a healthy gut microbiome here. You can see right here, I don't have a pointer here. See these are one cell wall thick that lines our gut. And think of this as like a brick, right? And then in between the brick is like the mortar to glue it together. In a normal situation, in a healthy person, you would eat food, you break down the foods, it would come in, and the stomach acid will break down the food. And here, when it gets to the small intestines, vitamins will get, will signal this brick to open up and allow the nutrients to go in. And then it goes back, it closes. And then in dysbiosis, if we continue to eat processed food, stress, all the contributors that cause insulin resistance also affect gut dysbiosis as well, antibiotics especially. And over time, this can cause this brick wall to break up. So think of it like if you're putting insult or throwing a fireball at this fence constantly, it's gonna cause some damage and open up the holes. And now when you eat food, you're not able to block the pathogens, the bacteria, the unprocessed food, keep it outside. Now these unprocessed food, bacteria, pathogen can pass through the gut barrier and will trigger your immune system. And this can lead to leaky gut. Over time can cause chronic inflammation. So here are the cause of dysbiosis. Like I said, it's just another picture to explain in a healthy gut. the gut microbiome will consist of 50-50 of the good bacteria and the bad bacteria. When you get dysbiosis, become a disease state, now the gut microbiome there's less diversity. So you have more of the pathogens, aka the bad bacteria, and less of the good bacteria. So you have an imbalance here. So the good bacteria thrives on fibers and thrives on, and the bad bacteria thrives on sugars and carbs. So we want to feed the good guys. And how can you feed the and how can you rebalance this? By introducing eating food like with probiotics, kefir, kimchi, sauerkraut, and to repopulate. But also these probiotics, these are the good bacteria, they need food too. And that's where the prebiotic comes in. The prebiotics is what Trent's going to talk about. Our balance that's in the field great system is a great prebiotics to feed the gut microbiome, to feed the good bacteria in our gut. And we need these good bacteria in our gut. They produce short chain fatty acid, which is known as postbiotics. I don't have a slide for that, but they helps to modulate your immune system. They helps to repair your gut. Some of the beneficial foods that, some of the beneficial things that you can do. So soluble and insoluble fiber, of course. Prioritize protein, incorporate some time-based eating, and go outside and get dirty, play with the dirt, right? So here's the link between gut dysbiosis and insulin resistant. Gut dysbiosis increase insulin intestinal permeability, aka leads to leaky gut, cause chronic inflammation. Chronic inflammation drives insulin resistance, and insulin resistant alters your gut microbiome and leads to dysbiosis. So as you can see, we're stuck in this loop here. So what can you do? Reverse insulin resistance. And Trent will share about this simple protocol to help us break away from this vicious cycle here. So thank you.
I love it, Amanda. Thank you so much. I want to keep you here for just a second. We may bring you back at the end for some Q&A. So I have a question for you, which I want to get to in a moment. But this is beautiful. This explanation was beautiful. A lot of people have multiple symptoms. So, for example, my dad, before my dad died, my dad had high blood pressure, high cholesterol, high blood sugar. He was pre-diabetic, right? Mm-hmm. He had psoriasis. He had other, gut problems like, some inflammation, some irritability, he actually died of colon cancer. So that would be a gut problem, right? In the mm-hmm. colon. My dad was on multiple medications, right? And if you were to ask, a traditional doctor, which we have lots of them here on this call tonight, what is his problem? Well, they would say, well, he's got 7 or 8 or a dozen different problems, and there's a dozen different medications my dad was put on for those problems. But we now know that really my dad had one problem, maybe 2, right? Number 1, he was insulin resistant. Mm-hmm. Number 2, he had a damaged gut. And if my dad and perhaps your dad, listener, or your mom, or you yourself, if you're looking at your current health and you're like, wait, what is going on here? What we're about to share could be the difference maker. I also want to say that if you are healthy, if you're a runner, if you're an athlete, if you're an Olympian, okay, I have found that the healthier you are, the more you will even love this protocol. This is for everybody. This is for healthy people, sick people, old people, young people, Black people, white people, females, males, everybody, right? So, but I have a question for you. So, Amanda, you've been a pharmacist for, did you say 32 years?
Yes.
If I come to your pharmacy and I am a new customer, and let's say that I've been prescribed a drug like metformin. Mm-hmm. What is my starter dose with you? What am I most likely going to start out with coming in for the first time to your pharmacy?
500 milligram. Usually
Okay,
starts
so
with once a day, and then they'll increase it to twice a day, and then 1,000 once a day, twice a day, and they just keep going until you end up with insulin injections. And I've seen this, Trent. I've seen this in front of my eyes for the past 32 years. That's why it's disheartening for me knowing that something like this exists and I'm not allowed to talk about it in the pharmacy. I worked
so
earlier today and I had to bite my tongue for like, come to my Zoom call tonight.
so tell me, Amanda, if I come in and I start on 500 milligrams metformin today, how long does it take before I'm on 2,000 milligrams or maybe even insulin?
It depends. It depends on, if you're doing something to address the root cause. And many people are not. Many people are not told by their doctor or are not coached to address the root cause. Like in our protocol here, prioritize protein, cut down some carbs, and have fiber before your meals. And don't be afraid of fat, healthy fat, and do some time-based eating, because if we're eating constantly, we're not allowing our body to tap into those store reserve. Many of us have thousands of calories stored in our body, especially in our midsection. And if we don't take a break from food, we're not going to be able to utilize that. We just keep packing and packing. And especially if you spike your glucose and your insulin first thing in the morning, you're storing fat all day long, despite of you not eating the rest of the
Yeah.
day. You're putting your body into that fat storing and damage mode.
Okay. So maybe last question, and then we've got to move on. Amanda, since starting this protocol yourself, and I know you've got a great transformation that you experienced on this protocol, but what have you seen for the patients or the people that are on this protocol in terms of their medication? Is it going up, but going up slowly? Is it staying the same, or do you see people coming off their medications
At the pharmacy or on this protocol?
on this protocol?
On this protocol is on a weekly basis. So that's why I'm so passionate about this protocol. It's like for the past 32 years, I have not been able to help anybody reverse type 2 diabetes, reduce medication. I just keep dispensing more and more medication. And when I ask them, hey, are you doing anything else? And they're like, no. I just had a patient coming to my pharmacy for the third time, just been released from the hospital, and I'm dispensing 9 medications. Statin is one of them, metformin's one of them, and 2 other diabetes medications and blood pressure medication. Hey, what's your doctor, what's your doctor's advice for you? Are you doing anything with the food, the diet? Oh yeah, I'm seeing a dietitian. They recommend that I eat more fruits and vegetable. I'm like, oh, okay. So, and I said, it's like fruits and vegetable can increase your glucose and put you at risk for insulin resistance. Um, but this is what we're dealing with in the conventional world.
Well, Amanda, thank you so much for coming, guys. Amanda is a pharmacist for 32 years who has become just super passionate about this protocol. And in a moment, not yet, all right, everybody, don't rush to it just yet. But in a moment, I want to ask everybody from the audience if any of you have seen yourself come off of medications. Instead of going up from 500 milligrams to 1,000 milligrams to 2,000 milligrams, I'm curious if any of you have seen the opposite happen. So we'll get to that in just a moment. And Amanda, if we've got time, we would love to bring you back here at the end. Okay, it is my job. We have one more testimonial or guest that we're going to have here in a moment, but it's my job to explain the protocol. There are lots of new people here who have been waiting patiently, who maybe this is their first time ever attending one of our calls, and they're still feeling a little bit lost in the dark about what we're doing and how it's working and why somebody might do it, etc. So this may resonate with you, especially if you're experiencing some problems. Okay, so how do you know if you're insulin resistant? How did we all become more insulin resistant? And what can we do about it, right? So there are some things that you can actually see on your body. All right. There are things you can see on your body. If you have skin tags in the neck area or the face, the eyelids, the armpits, the groin, if you have these skin tags, that is not normal. Okay. It is not genetic. That insulin, that little skin tag is a growth, and insulin is a growth hormone. And if you have these little skin tags, it is likely that you have a serious amount a considerable amount of insulin resistance. This is a big problem. It is advanced past the early stages. It is at a significant stage. If you have this growth, again, insulin is a growth hormone. These skin patches, darker skin patches, they're called acanthosis nigricans. This darker patch of skin around the collar of the neck, in the armpits, on the elbows, sometimes on the cheeks, that would be a serious symptom of insulin resistance, very advanced stage of it. The number one risk factor for insulin resistance is this protruding belly. Okay, now it is normal to have fat. Everybody has some fat. Fat, subcutaneous fat, is not dangerous. That's just where our body stores extra fuel to be used later as energy, right? But visceral fat, this is the naughty one. Visceral fat is not the soft or jiggly fat around our love handles. It is the firm, hard fat that is beneath the skin. This visceral fat surrounds our liver and our organs. This is the dangerous fat. And this is the number one risk factor for insulin resistance. Now, these are some of the things you can see. Migraine headaches are a real problem that a lot of people suffer with that you can't see with the naked eye, right? But you can feel it. Sleep apnea would be another one. Cravings would be another. Constant hunger, an inability to lose weight, tired, especially after eating, fatigue, bloated after eating, brain fog. Jennifer talked about anxiety and depression, right? Skin problems. We mentioned these skin tags, but what about psoriasis and acne? What about irregular cycles? PCOS, now known as PMOS, the name has been changed, is the number one cause of infertility among women. What's the number one driver of PCOS? It's insulin resistance. For men, erectile dysfunction, number one driver, insulin resistance. So this is happening to all people. It's happening to all of us. And if this is in your home, maybe you're at a healthy weight, but you have migraines. Maybe you're at a healthy weight, but you have irritable bowel syndrome. You've got this damaged gut, right? Well, you're not alone. 9 out of 10 of the people that have this problem do not know that they have it. And if you don't know you have it, you're just kind of living with it, right? We want to change that. If the root cause of these problems is the insulin resistance and the gut dysbiosis, let's talk about how we can address that root problem and solve maybe some of the symptoms as well, right? So the reason why we're all getting more insulin resistant and more dysbiosis, more of a damaged gut, there is really two different things. First, everybody in the world is familiar with white rice, right? But what most people don't know is that wild rice actually looks like this picture over here. So around every single grain of rice in nature is something called the bran. And the bran surrounds the cake part of the plant. So this part of the plant is pure starch. It is sugar, okay? It's going to turn to glucose in your bloodstream. It is just, Dr. Eric Aiken refers to it as the cake part of the plant. I love calling it the cake. This is cake. All right. Now, the fiber is supposed to surround that cake, is supposed to surround the sugar part of the plant so that we are protected from it. All right. But food makers take off all the fiber and we only eat the white part. Right. This is what wheat looks like in nature. Food makers take out all the good stuff. We get the cake. Every sugar, every carbohydrate in nature is meant to be packaged in fiber. This is the way that God designed it. An apple is mostly sugar and water, and it is packaged in fiber. Remove the fiber, you're left with just the sugar water, right? Just the cake. The entire American diet has become cake, cake, cake. The process, when people say processed foods, if you want to know what that means, the process of processing foods is the process of removing fiber from the food. We are getting fatter and sicker and more diabetic, not because we're metformin deficient, but because we are fiber deficient. And they've been doing this, on a population basis. Even sugar itself in nature is meant to come packaged in fiber. And what happens, and this is not a secret, you can look this up on government websites if you'd like. What happens when you remove the fiber is you're left with a nation full of disease. And this is exactly where we are today in the United States. It's where we are in Canada. It's where we are in Australia. It's where we are in the Middle East. It's even where we're going in Africa right now. Did you know that in China, okay, are Chinese people lean or fat? Are they lean or obese? Chinese people, I think we would all agree, are on the leaner side, right? Did you know that in China, more than 50% of the adults are now insulin resistant, pre-diabetic, many of them type 2 diabetics? Why? Because of this right here. Lots of cake every day, day after day, without fiber. Okay. And that is what is happening to us on a population basis now. Okay. And so what we've found is that when you bring the fiber back, things can change. And what we're doing with this protocol is we're doing two things. We're doing a little bit of fasting and a little bit of fiber. Now, nothing extreme on the fasting side. I'll explain here in a moment. But really, what we're doing on this protocol is we're living a little more like this. Okay. So if you've got breakfast and lunch and dinner, what many of us are doing is we are skipping a meal. Now, maybe you're at a healthy weight and you don't want to lose any weight. If you don't want to lose any weight, then the fasting may be a little redundant and you may choose to add a third meal. But most people that are on this protocol want to minimize excess body fat. And when we take a break from food, we force insulin down. We become more insulin sensitive during the fasted state. We are burning our love handles for breakfast. Now, when you skip breakfast, when you fast through the morning, are you starving? No. Your body is still getting calories, only instead of getting the calories from food, your body is getting the calorie that it needs from fat, right? And as Amanda said, most of us have more than 100,000 calories of available fat energy ready to be tapped into. All right. Now, before meals, we've got lunch here and we've got dinner. I don't know about you guys, but I'm a foodie. I like to eat. I don't like the idea of calorie counting or elimination diets or anything extreme because I'm done with the extreme dieting. Been there, done that 100 times over. It doesn't work for me. What we're doing instead is we're just getting the right types of fiber before our meals. When you get the right types of fiber before the meal, the blood sugar doesn't spike, the insulin doesn't spike the way it otherwise would. Fiber is also very satiating. Fiber is what fills us up. Fiber is what helps us. It slows down the digestion of food. It leaves us feeling fuller for longer. Fiber is what controls the cholesterol. Fiber is what controls the triglycerides. Fiber is the missing ingredient that over the last 50 years has been taken out of our food. And, surprise, surprise, over the last 50 years, we're now dealing with an obesity epidemic and a diabetes epidemic, right? Well, not anymore. We've decided to fight back. And we have so many medical professionals on this call to thank for this, okay? For all the medical professionals, for the doctors here, the nurses, the diabetes educators, the nutritionists, the dietitians, if you're on this call and you work in the medical profession, would you just put medical in the chat? We would love to salute you and just thank you for getting behind this protocol and helping us take this to the world. For all the non-medical professionals that are spreading awareness, thank you just the same. I mean, we need everybody. We need more people talking about this. So there is a solution that we have been using, and this is the protocol that we've been following, okay? So there is a solution that was originally developed by the Rexall company, if you're familiar with the old Rexall drugstores, right? And I'm going to give you plenty of proof in just a second. If you're skeptical of this type of thing, don't worry, the proof is here to follow. We've got to go fast because we don't have very much time. But there's a protocol that was developed originally by Rexall. It's now been studied by the Cleveland Clinic, the University of Sydney in Australia, and about more than 20 other institutions. This is not a drug. What I'm about to show you is not, I repeat, it is not a medication or a peptide. This is natural. It comes from plants, and it is just about the most effective thing that I've ever seen. In fact, it is guaranteed to work. If you use it properly and are consistent, it will work for you. If for whatever reason you were to decide that it's not your cup of tea, well, then you could just get a refund, right? Nothing to lose. This is how it works. The yellow one we sip whenever we are not eating. So whenever I'm not eating, if I'm between meals or let's say I'm doing the fasting, right? I'm skipping a meal, I will sip the yellow one. The yellow one blocks out all the food noise. It comes from the mate plant. The mate plant is something that raises GLP-1 naturally in the body. And this yellow packet called Unimate is a patented concentrate that is like nothing else on the planet. There's nobody that can copy it. It's patented, right? And it has so much chlorogenic acid that for me, I mean, I forget about food. If I feel great when I'm sipping it, I don't think about food. I'm productive. I'm motivated. It's like willpower in a packet. This is good for somebody that struggled with dietary discipline and willpower for most of my life, right? The orange one you have just before eating. This is a blend of plant fiber that I think is going to, I mean, based on what we're seeing, this is going to change the world. This is going to be disruptive. Over the coming years, whether you're in Pakistan or Pennsylvania, it will be common knowledge that if you have that little orange packet before you eat that pizza or that donut, or you have the rice and chicken or whatever you're going to have for lunch, your blood sugar won't spike the way it otherwise would. Your insulin won't spike the way it otherwise would. Your cholesterol and triglycerides are going to be more controlled. Oh, and by the way, the right types of fiber are extremely satiating. And so if you struggle with overeating like I struggle with, having this baby right here before my meals is a game changer. This is a game changer. I'm going to give you the proof in just a second. So if you've got breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you're sipping the yellow one. When you're not eating, you're having the orange one before eating. It's that simple. Oh, and by the way, it more than pays for itself. It is cost neutral. What does this mean? Well, it means that it means that many people go on Amazon or they go to the manufacturer's website and they pay about $244 a month for this protocol. And while it is worth every penny and more, you will never, ever pay this price, okay? Because you're attending these calls, you will have a preferred pricing. The preferred pricing works out to be $5.30 per day. Now, if you're skipping a meal, how much is a meal? Well, for me, a meal is a heck of a lot more than $5.30 per day. So I'm saving that right there. I mean, I'm saving $5 to $10 on a meal. I'm saving on snacks. I'm drinking the Unimate instead of the Diet Pepsi or the Diet Coke or whatever. I save over $10 to $15 per day on this. The cost of the product is $5 a day with your discount. And so I am cash positive on this system. If you are cash positive on this system, if you're saving money, will you put a $sign in the chat for me? All right. Most people are saving money, measurably saving money. They're getting their health back and they're getting richer on this protocol just because of the savings, right? Now, this is the price that you can get as you attend this call. Whoever invited you to this call has a preferred pricing link. You will never, ever pay the price that other people are paying on Amazon or through the manufacturer's website. You will have preferred pricing forever. And when you order, you will get your own link that you can share with others that will give them the preferred pricing. You can share the health. That's how this works. You're sharing the discount, giving them preferred pricing forever. Okay. Now, if you are a skeptical person, and many of us are, you can look this up in the physician's desk reference. In fact, I'm missing my slide here. But we're going to get to the proof here in a moment. You can look this up in the physician's desk reference. Your doctor and medical professional can look it up. The doctor will say, holy cow, I've never seen this before, but this sounds awesome. 90 days later, you'll be sitting in the doctor's chair, and they're going to be looking over your blood work, and your doctor's going to say, okay, I need you to tell me everything you can about that protocol. Now that I've seen your blood work after, I am super interested. There may be other patients that need to know. I certainly need to know more about this. We hear these conversations all the time. All right. I went on this protocol. It was very helpful for me, but now there have been countless others, thousands and thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of people on this protocol. It has completely changed their life. This is my buddy, Cody. I've known him for more than 20 years. This is him about 7 months on the protocol. Not only did he completely change his life, including his body and his mental health, but he told me that for the first time in 13 years, he became regular in the bathroom. That is a very, very big deal. Okay. Now we've got one more story that I want to bring on, but let me just say there are countless stories that we could share. Most of them sound the same. People that were pre-diabetic, type 2 diabetic, are struggling with other problems that aren't struggling with the problems anymore. In fact, if you're on this call, I said we get to this later, but if you're on this call and you've been on the protocol for a month or 2 months or 6 months, or maybe even just a week, or maybe you've been on it for a year or two, if you would take a moment, especially as Amanda said, if you're off some of the medications that you're on, I referenced that rather to Amanda earlier, I'd be curious to hear if you're off any of the medications, if you'd put that in the chat. So if you take a moment and just put a sentence or two in the chat, we'd love to hear those. I want to read those in just a moment. But maybe as I'll read these and then we'll bring on our closing guest. All right, I'm going to skip here. Holy cow, I'm way behind on the comments. Sorry, everybody. Cindy Friday, I've been on metformin for 21 years. When the doctor said I now needed 3 tablets, I refused and I began using this protocol instead. I have lost 32 pounds. My A1C went from a 7.0 to a 5.6, feeling better than I have in many years. Working to get off all the meds that I can very soon. We're happy for you, Cindy. Mila said, in the past 5.5 months, I am down 50 pounds. I have reversed my depression and my high blood pressure. Amazing, Mila. Kim Jackson, I am 63. I am down 100 pounds. I'm off all my medications. Sleep better, mood better. My A1C was an 8. Now it is a 4.5. Derek Henderson, my wife's Hashimoto's has been reversed and her chemo-induced neuropathy is 98% gone. Ralph Falconbury says 50.2 pounds down. A1C was a 7.9, now just a 5.4. I mean, that is effectively, guys, if you're not familiar with the A1C scale, that's like saying, you know, I've reversed my type 2 diabetes diagnosis in terms of the A1C scale, right? I went from a 4XL, he says, to clothes. I went from a 4XL down to an XL. I was on 11 medications per day. Now I'm just down to 2. My irritable bowel syndrome and foot neuropathy pain are gone. That all happened within 4 months. Shelly Smith says, my husband has been on the protocol for a month. 8 days ago, he came off his metformin. Amazing. Amazing, Shelly. Andrew Risegraph, I am down 55 pounds. No more CPAP machine. My blood work is normal. My blood pressure is back to normal. No more testosterone. I imagine no more testosterone therapy. Mary, what's up, Mary Garrett? Mary says 78 pounds down. No more prediabetes. No more plantar fasciitis. No more joint pain and more. Julie Thurston says, I am off my anxiety and depression medication. My triglycerides are down from 303 to 147. I've lost 50 pounds. My eyesight has improved. My energy is better. My mood is better. My brain fog is gone. Inflammation is gone. Food noise is gone. Okay, we're just going to read a couple more of these because we don't have time for all of them. But I'm hoping you're skimming all of these, right? This is so cool. This is what, remember what I said at the beginning? We're trying to save your life. This is what it's all about. And thanks, everybody, for sharing this. This is making the call better. Paul Thorup. Hey, Paul. Paul says, I've helped my 65-year-old mom reverse her prediabetes and lower her bad cholesterol following the protocol after 90 days. Sarah Murphy says, I was off my blood pressure pill within a week on the protocol. Heath Chapman says, 41 pounds gone. A1C from a 6.8 to a 5.3. Triglycerides went from 555 down to 220. Amazing. Carolyn Clark lost 20 pounds. No more fatty liver. Inflammation is gone. Beth Hayes, off all my diabetes medications with my doctor's blessing. Lowered triglycerides by 25%. Amazing. There are 40 plus more comments, and I can't read them all. I want to be very responsible here and say that, you know, these people that are talking about coming off meds, and I kind of baited them and asked them to, you know, share that if it applies. Let me just be responsible and say that should always be done with your doctor. We love our medical professionals. My doctor is one of the best men that I know. We're grateful for all the medical professionals that are helping us and are part of this. But medication should always be done with your doctor. Always, always, that should be done with your doctor. And we're grateful for all those that are helping with this. We're grateful for all those that are having stories. And what better way to end the call than to bring on one additional story? Tonight, we have a gentleman, Jason Knight from Saskatchewan, Canada. And Jason, I am so excited to hear you. I've heard bits and pieces of your story, both through your mom and through yourself. But tell everybody, who is Jason Knight and where was Jason with his health just prior to starting this protocol?
Hi, everybody. I live in Maple Creek, Saskatchewan, and I was first introduced to this product here back in August by my mother. And at that time, I knew I was very heavy. I didn't feel good internally, and I had no clue what I looked like externally. Besides, I was bigger than I should be, but it all seemed like I was older. At the time, I was 50, and I thought it was just a normal way of living. Until I had seen my mother back in August, and then when I did that, then I seen she had lost a bunch of weight. I asked her what she was doing, so I started on the protocol back then. And back then I was to about 255, 260 pounds. And now I'm down to about 210 pounds. So roughly I'm 45 pounds down since August. So since then, I can't feel any better than I am. Like sure I can, but when I feel like going for a walk or a jog every morning, it's crazy. Like you feel like you're on top of the world.
Jason, I'm going to
Um,
show a picture here while you're talking, brother. Sorry to interrupt,
no, you're
but
good.
most of the weight that you were carrying was the visceral fat that we were talking about earlier, right? And I've got some pictures here to demonstrate this, but this visceral fat, which causes the protruding belly, was this I mean, I'm guessing that well, actually I'm not guessing because I've got a picture here, so spoiler. But this is where you've lost that weight, right? I mean, your face actually looks fairly similar, but that protruding belly is gone. I mean, that has got to feel completely different. I know that that has other implications for health, but I mean, this is incredible, brother. How many months on the protocol did it take to lose the belly?
Like I would say I was 3 months into the protocol. Like I started in August, and by November, like in August, September, I had a buddy of mine make me a leather belt. And by November, I was having him cut 6 inches off of that belt. And since then, I have gained another 6 inches on that belt. It gets absolutely crazy. Like I would have never thought that could be possible. Like
Well,
furthermore, like my sleep apnea was terrible. My wife would have to turn the TV up in the living room to watch a movie or a TV show after I go to bed because she couldn't hear me or she couldn't hear the TV. And now she has to, like, now it's not so bad, but when I first started and lost the weight and stuff, she would actually have to come and check on me to make sure I was breathing. And you know what's what's bad when as males, erectile dysfunction is a thing, and I'm not afraid to say it. I'm one of them, or was. Because I was so big, I go to the pharmacist, and the pharmacist would flat tell you that it's because of your age. It's normal. And I hate to say it, it's not normal. I've lost that weight and I feel like I'm 25 years old again. Like it's amazing. I took my son hunting elk last fall, and I couldn't, like, I could keep up with him. I didn't have to stop. I didn't have to tell him to slow down. I could actually keep up with him. It was awesome.
Jason,
So
thank you so much. We're so proud of you, and this is awesome. And for you to come on here again, like Jennifer, with 400 perfect strangers, and talk about problems that people don't like to talk about, we're very grateful to you, and we're excited about you and the transformation you've had, and just want to say thank you so much. And um, ladies and gentlemen, if we've got to wrap up because we're at the hour, and we start these calls on time, we end these calls on time. But as you listen to Jason's story and you think about the people in your life, people that you know and people that you love, right? Um, if I were to go to a family reunion right now, just about half the room, maybe more than half of the room, is suffering from these problems. And if somebody you love is struggling with their health, I would encourage you to invite them to this call next week. They will thank you later, right? We're on a mission to make life better, and we're just trying to save lives and make life better for people all over. Now, on tonight's call, we had people from Australia, we had people from Mexico, we had people from Japan, we had people from Canada, we had people from the United States, right? And with 400 plus people here on the live Zoom and maybe 10,000 plus watching through the live stream, we are trying to make life better and make a difference. And we need your help. So we hope that you'll invite people to this call next week. Again, if you haven't started the protocol yet, get off the fence. I mean, what if this could do for you what it's done for other people? What if this could be the thing that finally solved the problem for you? What if this could be the end to the never-ending diet cycle, right? What if you could be one of the people writing in the comments, sharing what's happened to you, right? What else would happen in your life if you got control of your health? What would it mean for your relationships? What would it mean for your career? What would it mean for your self-confidence? I love Jennifer talking about how she was avoiding the swimming pool and avoiding the beach. And now she's, bold at the beach, wearing the swimsuit that she wants to wear, right? What else would happen in your life? And why not try something that is guaranteed to work, that you can measure and prove with the blood test? I mean, why not try something that is safe and natural and affordable and that will actually put more money in your pocket? I mean, literally, I spend $5 a day on the product, and I save $10 to $15 a day because of the product, right? I mean, that sounds good. My waistline gets leaner, my wallet gets fatter. I mean, who would say no to that, right? So if you're on the fence, we encourage you to get off the fence. Reach out to whoever invited you to this call and just say, hey, will you send me the link? I want the discount link. I don't want to pay the full price on Amazon or on from the manufacturer. I want the discount pricing, and I want to try this. We'll add you to our support group. We'll give you our mobile coaching app. We'll make sure you have all the instructions and that you have a first-class experience, because we're just here to save lives and make life better. So thank you guys for coming on to this call. We love you, love you, love you, and we hope we will see you next week. Thank you, Amanda, you, pharmacist, 32-year pharmacist on this protocol and teaching people about it. Bless you, Amanda. I mean, guys, think about this for a second. How many pharmacists do you know that are interested in helping people transition off of medications? Doesn't that seem like a conflict of interest? That's the kind of person that Amanda Yu is, and she's excited, and we love her for that. Thank you, Jennifer Ellis. Thank you, Jason Knight. You guys are awesome. And if you would like to share your story on a future call, we'd love to have you. Just reach out to me, and we'll try to make it happen sometime soon. So thanks, everybody. Have a great night. We'll see you.